Hi, this is Lachlan Gannon here, training out of Ironhouse Gym in Clondalkin today, up with Brian Hickey and obviously Irish Muscle. Today we were doing chest and bicep. It's been about, I think, roughly 5 or 6 weeks since I shot the first video with the quads. I made actually quite a lot of progress since then. I just made a couple of tweaks to my diet. The most obvious one was actually increase my my overall protein intake, especially in terms of solid protein, basically meat. I would estimate put about an extra 2 to 3 pounds of muscle on me in the last 5 weeks, which is absolutely enormous. It just kind of goes to show how much I was under eating in terms of protein for my size. I mean, everyone when they starts out, the emphasis is always on protein, how much protein they can get down their throats, but they kind of leave kind of other essentials aside, like fat intake and overall calories. And it was no different. I guess all my focus for the last couple of years has been on overall calories, and actually put more emphasis on essential fats rather than protein. And I actually think it's cost me, because the impact increasing my protein intake to over 500 grams has had in the last month is enormous. So I'm actually really looking forward to the next year in terms of what's going to happen with my gains, because I can see big things happen this year more so than any other years gone by. So it's crazy. It's like the simplest thing, and I was kind of neglecting it up to this point. Moving on. Today I went through chest and bicep. My last workout, as you remember, was fairly fruity in what I was doing. It was very, very heavy weight and then into extremely high rep, and so, as I say, it was more of a shock system. I really enjoyed it, but not something that I would do on a really regular basis. So today was more straightforward. What we're doing was, if everyone's ever heard of Vince Garunda, a very famous bodybuilding coach in the 60s, 70s. So it's a modified version of his 8x8. I pretty much hate this system, which is why I come back to it so much, because I figure that the workouts I hate the most are going to be the ones that yield some of the biggest benefits. So when it comes to doing high reps with short rest time, I generally fail miserably. My conditioning in that aspect is crap. So I do find that I get great size gains after a 4 to 6 week block of them. So today it was basically, the idea was to shoot for 8 sets of 8 to 10, or come as close to it as I could, to be a 30 to 45 second rest time. And when it failed, it failed. Ideally, if I didn't make the 8 reps, I'd move on to another exercise, but you can get a bit pig-headed about it, so I did a couple of drop sets in between. First exercise was incline dumbbell press. Well, it's just a simple bread and butter exercise. Again, nothing fancy. Started off a little heavy, as I have a tendency of doing. The first 2 sets wiped me out, so I was forced into a drop after that, as you'll be watching. Yeah, that was pretty tough, but again, that's what you're looking for, So, second exercise was basically a near neutral grip machine press. Again, nothing too fancy, just basic form, kept the reps in around 12 to 15. As you see, with some of the sets, there'd be a very specific pause at the bottom of the eccentric. I love doing pauses. It keeps the set super strict, and just forces whatever muscle you're working to do the most, to do the maximum amount of work in the process. And some little bit of peak contraction at the top, but just keeping constant tension on the muscle. So whether the weight is super heavy or whether it's really light for higher rep, the aim is always the same. The third exercise you'll see was actually a modified fly. It's actually called a Poliquin fly. It's like it's a hybrid between a standard dumbbell fly and a dumbbell pullover. And to my knowledge, Charles Poliquin invented this. I don't think he robbed it off anyone, but I'd recommend anyone try it. Once you switch over to that version of fly over standard, you'll never go back. It is an amazing stretch, a very natural movement. But it can be a little bit tricky to get right. You really have to force your shoulder blades in tight and roll the shoulders back and push them down. And then once you're in that position, the chest is forced up high, you're going to get an unbelievable stretch from it. So I recommend give it a go. You know what I mean? Can't hurt to try. But I can pretty much guarantee you'll keep it as a keeper in your chest routine. So yeah, lash into that. So just 3 exercises for chest, nice and standard, and then bicep was even less again. We just did 2, and nothing too fancy there. We just did a non-supinating 45-degree dumbbell curl. Basic shooting again for 8 sets of 8. I can't even remember where I made this, so you know, it was just the idea was just to burn them out. Again, it wasn't massive weight. I only used a 20-kilo dumbbell, and I got as far as I could with it. Moved on to a hammer curl, again lighter again. So again, I'm not all about using massively heavy weights for every single system. Whatever is called for, you know. So you'll notice with the hammer curl, it was a nice, very deliberate contraction at the top. Again, just a preference for me. That's a specific tempo I'm using at the moment, but it inflicts maximum damage on the bicep and the BR. So I recommend anyone kind of give that a shot as well, just to vary up your tempo. Don't always use the standards, you know, the 2020. You know, don't be afraid to really slow down your eccentrics or to use pauses at the top of this concentric. That variable can make a massive difference in gains in muscle damage. So it's all about just kind of varying. And I found that's worked really, really well over the years, no matter what body part I'm doing. If you ever try doing a 6-second eccentric squat, or even a 10 seconds, Christ, just give it a go. Particularly for hamstrings, actually, I'll throw that in there, which I didn't mention last time. If you never have true kind of deep pain in your hamstring, experiment with your eccentrics. Get on a lying leg curl, do a 10-second eccentric, and do 10 sets of 6, and see if you can even get up out of bed the next day. I promise, people always wonder, where does that muscle soreness come from? The primary factor in that is eccentric rep tempo. And if you do that, no matter what body part you're training, it's going to absolutely smash it up. You're going to have that really deep DOMs. It's not about lactate threshold or any of that. It's about eccentric tempo. Very controversial, but you know what? You know, take it or leave it. With that being in mind, that's pretty much it for me today. No doubt I'll be back again. We'll be shooting another body part, different training system, and just take it as it comes from here, or as it goes from there, should I say. But thanks for watching, and yeah, we'll see you again.